Phase Zero, Season 3, Episode 23. I'm your host, Jenny Anderson. I'm not going to do an excessively long intro like Beatty has done the past couple of weeks. Also, I promise if you're listening in podcast form, there's nothing wrong with your audio. I just lost my voice screaming at the Taylor Swift concert. But we have a very big show today, and joining me to talk about all of the MCU news of the week is Liam Crowley.
Hello, everyone. It's been a busy week, and we just got some breaking Secret Invasion TV spot footage, so I'm very excited to talk today.
We also have Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, everybody? I'm looking at it in the chat. We will talk about it. I promise we will talk about it.
And we have Jamie Dirac.
Good morning. It's that early time. We're back at it.
Jamie's a little more miserable because we're not recording in the afternoon. But yeah, we have a lot of news to talk about today. We have a title change for Captain America 4. We have some Spider-Man updates. Chris Hemsworth talked a lot about Thor: Love and Thunder. So we're just going to dive right into it. Aaron, take it away.
Okay, so we got news with Captain America 4 from Marvel Studios directly in a change from how we've been operating for the last couple months. Captain America 4 is now called Captain America Brave New World, changed from Captain America New World Order. I wonder who the mothership decided to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't call the movie that. Good job, whoever that is. Mackie posted a photo with him talking to Harrison Ford with a very funny caption about taking direction from Harrison Ford. How does everybody feel about the name change?
I saw Jamie and I both cheered. So Jamie, you go first.
Thank goodness. I mean, it's like clearly when they picked that name, they didn't know like the negative origins behind it. And that's totally like that happens. And I'm just glad that they realized it and changed it because the internet was just being a lot about it. And I understandably. So I'm just like, okay, great. We changed it. Let's move on. Done.
Like Aaron said, I'm like, I wonder who at Marvel like actually Googled the phrase and was like, oh yeah, we probably should not be using the subtitle for this movie. I almost would wish that when they did the first slate announcements, I almost wish they would just go with like Deadpool 3, Captain America 4, Ant-Man 3, and just tell us the titles when you actually have the titles. Because between this and the whole Serpent Society nonsense from when they like rickrolled us years ago, it's like I would rather you just like figure out the subtitle fully before you tell us and try to get us excited. But,
I think we did figure it out. It's just that I don't know how no one in that room, does no one have Google? They lock all the writers in a white room like Morpheus and then they have to figure out what they're going to do. I don't know. Liam?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the new title too. It's a lot more cheery. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a comic run within Secret Empire. Like There was a comic called Brave New World. So I like that there is some comic precedence to it. And I like the cheerier vibe to it. Like even though new is the word, new worlds are the words being retained from the previous subtitle, this one comes with like there's a new Captain America and good things are on the horizon, like even outside of like what was going on with like the real world's like New World Order meaning and all that. As a professional wrestling fan, New World Order was the name of a villainous stable in WCW in the 90s. So I always associate that term with negativity. So the fact that we are going towards something that feels a little bit more upbeat, that being Brave New World, I'm excited. And seeing Harrison Ford in an official Marvel behind the scenes still image is like the craziest thing still. I'm not over it.
I will say to Liam's point about like the Brave New World of it all, like that comic is kind of like a quasi Avengers book, like during Secret Invasion. So it's like the whole thing that we've kind of said of the writing on the wall of like the possible cameos in this movie and the possible ensemble that would be around Sam. I think this title better reflects that. And I still think it's kind of crazy that Sam doesn't get to just fully have a movie by himself. But if he is going to share it with all of these other people, then like this is definitely a good title for it. I also, go ahead.
I was going to say I have to be an English teacher for a second too. Unfortunately, Liam, it's also the title of like a dystopian novel by Aldous Huxley. So
I'm aware of all the different meanings, but the one that is most prevalent in like my, I don't even want to say like fandoms because you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're going more Latin than like Aldous Huxley, and I commend you for that.
As like one of 5 people who watched the Brave New World TV show on Peacock, like I'm glad that at least got brought up in some way because that was a really good adaptation of the book. I also have in the notes, like, can we talk about the fact that Harrison Ford is wearing grip jeans in that photo? Because Red Hulk speculation is probably going to start. Jamie, you're at the top. You just made a face. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so ready. I just can't wait for this press tour and to watch. I'm just so excited to start watching Harrison Ford talk about this movie. I just haven't been so like excited for something like that aspect of this in a long time. And I feel like, yeah, it'd be crazy if not. I feel like you're gonna get this man into this franchise. You're gonna do some wacky stuff with him, right?
I can't believe like Liam said, the image is hysterical. Like, you could never have told me 10 years ago, like, yeah, man, it's gonna be Anthony Mackie sitting next to Harrison Ford. He's gonna be like, no, you punch him like this. Like, I'm waiting for it, you know?
Yeah, Liam, do you have any thoughts on the Red Hulk of it all?
I feel like it's going to happen. In terms of what's left to do with the character of Thaddeus Ross, that's like the one remaining big thing. We already know he's going to be the president in this movie, that being Thaddeus Ross, the government official. I think we all want to see the Red Hulk alias come out. And I just wonder if it's going to happen in this movie or if it will be saved for Thunderbolts. But at the same time, like, Giant Man debuted in Civil War before we got Giant Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I think there's a good chance we at least get a pretty good tease of it in this movie.
I hope so, especially with Leader being there. It's like you kind of have to kind of get your way towards that. Aaron, you also have another quote from the production designer about Cat 4.
Ramsey Avery talked to Collider about the tone of this one, and he said the magic word. So, you know, MCU fans do the thing. The intent of this is to be very grounded, to make sure it has the sense of really happening in the world. So it's a different sense in a lot of ways than particularly some of the more recent pieces have been. And it's a very deliberate choice, and it's a fascinating choice and an exciting choice. And it comes with a whole host of different kinds of questions involved in that. So he said the G word. Everybody get excited. It's funny to say that, and then we're just not going to talk about Secret Invasion. We're just not going to mention the very grounded tone where they also dropped the G word and Winter Soldier, which is like Marvel fan bingo on Twitter for when people get excited. He's also really excited to work with Julius Ona, who I guess most of us don't really know a whole lot about besides 10 Cloverfield Lane, right? That's like
Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh, yeah. Cloverfield Paradox. There we go. Yeah. I'm like, like, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. Is everybody excited about a more grounded tone for our boy Sam?
I love the image of this being super grounded, but with like comic accurate Leader with like his giant green head.
Exactly.
Just like the juxtaposition of that makes me extremely happy. So
I totally believe that Secret Invasion is still going to be the G word. It's just that I feel like they haven't seen it yet. So it's like they're talking about not that. That's what my brain is deciding. And a reminder, if you haven't seen the movie Loose that Julius Ona directed, it is a dark movie that I watched before I interviewed Tim Roth a while back for She-Hulk, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea what kind of director he is. It's a heavy movie, but I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this being a more personal tale. We're going to talk about Chris Hemsworth very soon, but he's right. You know, when it comes to everything being crazy, world encapsulating and aliens and monsters, it's nice to have reminders that this universe feels like an extension of our own. And I hope Brave New World does just that. It brings us back to the human side of the MCU. Like, we can love the fantastical cosmic stuff at the same time, but I feel like we've been hit with so much cosmic stuff lately in a good way. Guardians 3 was awesome and Ant-Man and the Wasp happened, but like, you know, I'm excited to go back to an era that's based on Earth and tell human-based stories. Falcon Winter Soldier, I've said it many, many times, is my favorite project post Endgame. And if this can be an extension of that in terms of the thematic stuff and the emphasis on the human conversations and the one-on-one intimate moments, I think we're in for something special.
Absolutely. Also, hi to Dundee's Plan and Josh Prater, who are both watching for the first time. We love when we have first-time live watchers. That's always awesome. But Liam mentioned it. Jamie, take it away.
Oh boy, Chris Hemsworth dunked on Love and Thunder a little in a GQ profile. A little. I didn't read the quote yet. I'm about to do this blind. All right, here we go. This is what he said. He said, "I think we just had too much fun. It just became too silly. It's always hard being in the center of it and having any real perspective. I love the process. It's always a ride, but you just don't know how people are going to respond." And then apparently his son's friends were criticizing the movie, but they're 8. He goes, "It's a bunch of 8-year-olds critiquing my film. We thought this one had too much humor. The action was cool, but the VFX weren't as good. I cringe and laugh equally at it," he says. And then he wondered why Quantumania had such big stakes. He goes, that's the trick. You have to separate all these stories. The moment it's like, your world is in danger, the entire universe, it's like, yeah, so was the last 24 films. It has to become a bit more personal and grounded. Now, that I really like what he said, because it's true. We've talked about this so many times on the show. I think Eternals especially hit for us because we had just seen so much of this world-ending stuff, and then Eternals came. We're like, we know the world's not going to end. We just saw the world pretty much end in Infinity War and them having to fix it. And I think that's a really good perspective in terms of his 8-year-old. The 8-year-olds being blunt with him is so funny to me. What do you guys think about all this?
Because like when this movie came out, people were like, you're being too mean on it. This movie's for kids. Just let it be for kids. And it's like when the 8-year-olds are still making fun of it and they still can recognize a bad movie, that is just, that makes me very hopeful in the future generation because they're able to recognize when a movie is not the best. I'm glad that he has this perspective. I was joking yesterday, this man worked with George Miller once and it completely changed his entire perspective on the MCU. And I love that for him. So I cannot wait for Furiosa. But like everything he said, I completely agree with. I think the world-ending stakes, it's the thing that James Gunn has said of like, there's no superhero fatigue. There's just like conflict fatigue of like, if the world is in danger every single time, then that's going to get really boring and really tiring. So I'm glad that he said all of this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also just find it so funny because I always see like tweets about stuff where it's like elementary school kids are always the most blunt with you. And the idea of like people being friends with Chris Hemsworth's kids, going over to his house for like a play date and just being like, oh, hey, Thor, your new movie sucked, by the way. And that VFX could have been polished in that one scene. But hey, good to see you. Like, is just so hilarious to me. Everything he said, I agree with. And I love when actors are able to take in genuine criticism and feel like talk about it honestly. Because I feel like far too often when you're expected to be a flag bearer for like these giant cinematic universes, you tend to just kind of shut out the criticism and just only focus on the positive. But the only way these things get better is if we do shine some light on the negative aspects. So I think all of his quotes were fair. I don't think he was overly critical. Anthony Hopkins had some quotes recently.
Yeah.
Damn, come on, Anthony. I loved you as Odin. Please don't say that. But yeah, everything Hemsworth said, I agree with. And I hope we see more Thor, just because I would really hate if Love and Thunder was his last appearance. I think he deserves a proper swan song. Not that Love and Thunder was structured as a swan song, but you know, something for him to go out on where it feels like the Thor we know and love.
Aaron, how do you feel about it?
I mean, listen, who amongst us haven't been flamed by some 8-year-olds over their shoes or whatever? And then you take it personally is really funny to me. I don't really get it because I don't believe in the concept of fatigue. I think there's a number of other factors. It's been well documented on the show. I think that Spider-Verse and Guardians prove that if you tell the story you need to tell, it doesn't matter what the genre or what the stakes are or what the setting is or whatever. So, I mean, before Love and Thunder came out, everybody in these comments was out here like, you're crazy having it that low. It's going to be the best of all these. And then it was, and now look at where we're talking about it. So it doesn't really like matter in that way. Also, I think there was another quote last week where I think Elizabeth Olsen was on Happy, Sad, Confused with Josh Horowitz. It was over at MTV News. And she was talking about when people talk about starting to get into Marvel, she tells them like, just do one, right? Just give them one. And that way you can maintain control. And I think it's important to point out in these quotes that when they signed on to be these characters, Marvel Studios used to sign you on for like 9 projects, 8 projects. Can you imagine having to do 8 straight of these things and how monotonous it would be? Anything for doing 8 times, 8 years, the whole decade of your life. So that stuff colors these things too. He's been Thor for a long time. He's almost been Thor longer than I've been able to drive. I'm pretty sure. So it's like, it's not a thing of like, it's not just, oh, Love and Thunder was bad. It's like, man, yo, like I can't imagine. Also, can you imagine, Leo? Imagine eating all the stuff you have to eat to get that muscle mass up to be freaking Thor Odinson at the age that he is. It's probably like, man, I am just tired. He's just taking stock on a lot of stuff. He had a major health scare, like, you know, with the stuff with the Alzheimer's. Like, there's all sorts of other stuff back there. Just make a good movie. It's fine.
Also, just like when you're an actor and you're in that bubble and you're surrounded by blue screen and you're told like this is going to look amazing and this is going to be amazing, and then you see the actual finished product, it's like you've put so much time and energy and hope into the thing, and then to have it be a thing that 8-year-olds are dunking on, I can understand why he has this perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I want to add too. But I really liked what he said is like when you're in it, when you're making it, it's hard to tell. Like, and I really feel like sometimes we forget how much is put into making a movie in general and how much people pour out their heart and soul, and how it's hard to have a proper perspective if something is good when you are so ingrained in it. And that's why people, Quantumania aside, I get accused a lot of liking things too harshly, like I'm too nice about stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it's because I've made things and I know what it's like to create something, and like, and you have to look at all the factors in it and all the people that worked on it. And it's really hard for me to like 100% dunk on something except for Quantumania. And I like hearing that from an actor and just being honest. Like, I don't know if it's good. I was in it and I was having a lot of fun, because I'm sure they did have a lot of fun. So I really appreciate everything he said in this interview.
There's probably still an amazing group chat with him, Taika, Natalie,
Tessa,
like everybody, Tessa, all of them, and Rita Ora too, just because, like, like I don't like. It's not like you're not friends anymore. It's just like, okay, next time it might be a little bit different. Also, like, I have no idea what that will be.
Like I think it's George Lucas who has a quote of like, he always stands up and applauds, like even if a movie that he watched is horrible, and people are like, why are you do that? Because it's like, it's a miracle that a movie even gets made. So like I completely agree with Jamie's point. I'm glad we are dunking on Quantumania though. All right, so we're gonna take a quick 1-minute break, and when we're back we have some exclusive updates about Secret Invasion and Ironheart and Madam Web, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Phase Zero. If you are watching live, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, because we greatly appreciate that. So Liam did a lot of fun interviews lately, some of which are very relevant to the show. So take it away.
Yeah, so I got to chat with Dermot Mulroney, who was promoting Shooting Stars, who, if you're a fan of LeBron James or just sports movies in general, I cannot recommend this movie enough. I cried, and I was not expecting to whatsoever. I rarely cry in TV or movies, but he knocked it out of the park playing the coach, but he's also playing the President of the United States in Secret Invasion, the second fictional president in the MCU. We had President Ellis previously, played by William Sadler in Iron Man 3. And now he's playing President Ritson here in Secret Invasion. And he told me that he's just thrilled to be included in it, and wound up that he ended up playing a pretty cool character. And he said mainly it's because it put him directly in scenes with Samuel L. Jackson, Don Cheadle, Olivia Colman, and others. Amazing experience for me in that regard. And then when I, tried to press him for more information, but also lips are sealed, we only got a couple weeks left to go. He said it should be really cool. And he will say this, Samuel L. Jackson, he ran into him since they shot it. And Samuel L. Jackson has seen the full Secret Invasion and was very enthusiastic about it. So that gave me a big thrill to know that he liked how it came out. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm very stoked at these comments. If Samuel L. Jackson gives the stamp of approval, considering he's been in so many Marvel movies, some great, some good, some not so great, I think that this is going to be pretty special. And I want to ask you guys, how do you think the POTUS is going to factor into Secret Invasion? Is he a Skrull? Is he going to die? Harrison Ford's taking his office pretty soon. So
it's so funny. It's like he's gotta die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I love that you talked to Dermot Mulroney as like a rom-com girl. I love him. I'm so excited. He's like, what a good president choice, even though I think he's gonna die so fast. I also want to shout out that William Sadler also played the president on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Never forget. The connections used to be there. But no, I'm really excited for this. I feel like a scroll makes sense, but also it's just like, is he going to die in the end? Is he going to die in the middle? Like, is he going to get, maybe we're all wrong and it's just like his 4 years are going to be up by the time.
Hilarious.
He just loses re-election because there's too much going on. I don't know.
Like Captain America starts with him like losing the election, like, darn. But that seems unlikely. But I am excited to see what he brings to the MCU table.
I really want him to be a Skrull. I want him to even like do the Skrull CGI. I just want to see what that would look like with Dermot Mulroney. I agree with Jamie. This is such a cool choice for like a president character. I'm shocked he's never like really played a president before. But yeah, and also the fact that he's doing scenes with Olivia Colman. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be very fun to see. Jamie just got very excited. But yeah, Aaron, how do you feel about it?
The opening of Captain America 4 being Wasserman being like, I've seen enough. He's off. Is very funny to me, and that would be hysterical. I think that you guys are probably onto it. I think he probably is a Skrull at some point. The trailer, the teaser that came out this morning kind of points to everything going leg up real fast in our Marvel Cinematic Universe. So how better to do that than like, hey man, the president got assassinated and he's not actually the president, he's an alien. So that'd be cool. Me and JK are still holding out hope that they have him like demorph and it's still McDermott. But it might happen.
We would be so lucky. That would be amazing. And then Liam, you also talked to Anthony Ramos, right, at the Transformers premiere?
I did. I want to say one quick thing that just came into my mind. This always happens. Whenever I talk Marvel with anyone, a theory will come up as conversations going on. Okay. If he does die in Secret Invasion, does that mean Harrison Ford's Thaddeus Ross is currently his VP? Like, are we looking at a situation? I doubt that Harrison Ford is in this show because it was shot long before he was cast. But could we get like a newspaper clipping, like some sort of something? I don't know. I think there might be precedent.
It's one of those things like a Battlestar Galactica thing where so many people that are important.
I was about to say, yeah, it's like a designated survivor situation because I think he's like the secretary of something at this
Secretary of State in Civil War.
and so like I guess in the line of succession,
that's not far.
Yeah, so watch. It's going to just be like half of the government is Skrulls, and then we just get to Harrison Ford. That's going to be crazy.
I want to, before we move on to Ramos, give you guys a really fun fact that you might not know. It's one of my favorite facts about Dermot Mulroney. He plays the cello on the Rogue One score.
That's right. I forgot about that.
A really fun fact about him is that he plays the cello, and he is credited on that specific score. Just a fun little fact.
I completely forgot about that. I love that so much.
That's really cool.
But yeah, so Anthony Ramos, you talked to him about Ironheart a little bit, and we actually have the clip. But do you want to say anything before we cue it up?
Yeah, I mean, he was a deer in headlights. You're going to see it right now because no one wants. Everyone's afraid. The Marvel rookies are afraid to give anything away. But yeah, we can take the clip and you can see for yourself. Tim Crowley, comicbook.com.
What's going on?
One quick question for you. You were rumored for a lot of different Marvel roles before you landed your Ironheart gig. What made the Ironheart role the best one for you?
Yeah, I mean, Ironheart was always, that was the role that they had in mind. Yeah, the other ones were all just rumors, which I was like flattered about. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was waiting on Marvel to call, but finally they did, and the Hood, we had fun. I had fun with that role.
That's awesome. Have you seen any cuts of any of the episodes? What does it look like?
No, I haven't seen anything. So I'm excited to see it eventually.
I mean, you can tell. I feel like he's seen some still images, something. I don't know. That's all just speculation. Because filming for this, I didn't realize until I was doing research after the fact, wrapped in November. Like this thing has been in the can for a minute. It's probably at the last stages of polishing CGI and all that. But yeah, the reason why I brought up that question was because he was in rumblings for Werewolf by Night for a while. There were a couple other projects where they were just flirting his name around, and him landing this role of the Hood, where he might just be the henchman to Mephisto. I don't even want to dive into that theory too much because we've been burned so many times at this point. Yeah. But I'm fascinated to see how this story goes, the whole magic versus tech thing. What do you guys think?
I was going to say, didn't footage exist because Jamie saw it at D23? like, isn't there footage out there that he would have seen when he was at D23? So I'm like, he did see something, even just like a little bit.
I think he panicked.
Yeah.
Because like I've seen footage. Like he's pretty panicked.
I just, this is just such good casting. Like it's one of those things where you wouldn't immediately assume it. You also would assume that they would like do the hood and test it. But the fact that they are, and it's the actor, like he killed it in Hamilton and Heights and everything. So I'm so happy with this, and I feel really, really well. So
I told Arya not know that he was like good in this because of like some of his previous stuff he's been in. Exciting, but we were laughing really yesterday about the hilarious eyes aside, the hottest thing from literally Kevin Feige, who was sitting like standing like 6 feet away, maybe. Like same thing. They're both like, I'm not gonna tell you anything. It's in the can. It'll come out with the man's suit. Also, Liam is he really short? Is he short?
He's on the shorter side. He's a short king. But I also have a very skewed. Would do the whole like leg spread down, but it's so crammed on those carpets. Like you guys,
I want to try his jacket. He looks sharp.
He's really good in Transformers. Like he's very naturally.
So it looks like we might be having audio issues. So we're going to take a quick. All right, we are back and hopefully not having any further issues. For those of you listening in podcast form, hopefully everything will work out perfectly for y'all. But just to keep the train rolling. So on the topic of other exclusive interviews, BD talked to Renzo de Bonaventura, who was a producer on the Transformers movies, a bunch of other movies, and is also involved with Madame Web. So we do have a clip of that. I don't know if we will necessarily be able to play it, but I'm going to pull up the quote at least. So you guys keep talking.
Oh, I don't know what the quote is. I'm excited. Why did I say that was such a lie? Like, you think I'm actually excited about a Madame Web quote? Wow, I'm so sorry.
Oh, we got the clip. Okay, we got the clip.
Cool. Both Madame Web and Constantine 2 are movies I'm very excited for. So first, if you could speak to Madame Web, I mean, I just walked out of Spider-Verse. Super fun movie. I mean, there's a lot of Spider-Man been done before. Can you talk about how that movie's going to be original and fresh in a sense?
Well, it's really the story of Madam Web. So in that respect, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're going to love the character because you know it from the comic books, but she doesn't really have that big a character in the comic books. We're doing the origin story of Madam Web. And so you meet her before she's actually the person that you know in the comic book. And you come to understand how she becomes that person. So I think that'll be a really fresh, new terrain for the fans.
I love him openly admitting like Madam Web does not have a lot of lore to base off of, but because obviously given like the rumors and the speculation around this movie, it sounds like they're really going to take some liberties in some fun ways. So what do we think about this? I know Aaron and I are the two Madam Web supporters on this show, but what does everyone else think?
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie that's happening. And this man seems like excited about it. So I'm more excited for Transformers Rise of the Beast, and I haven't seen the last 6 Transformers movies, but that's just me.
Wow. Liam, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm ready to be heard again. I'm ready. All the rumors surrounding this movie sound crazy and insane and like Terminator meets Spider-Man. And I think it could be really cool if the rumors come to fruition, whether they're executed well or not. Wouldn't necessarily bet on it. But this cast is stacked. People forget that Adam Scott is in this movie, which is really, really fun. Sydney Sweeney, Dakota Johnson. It's going to be fun, I think, maybe. Of course he's happy with it. He made the movie. What's he going to say? You know? But yeah, Madam Web, sure.
Aaron, how you feeling? Are we more hopeful, even more about Madam Web?
Like, listen, after what happened to Spider-Verse, I'm like, why don't y'all just go back and reshoot it to link up to this somehow? Please do, because that might be the best way to secure this to be like amazing. Me and Jen are probably on the more hopeful side because there are some fun things you can do. As always, it comes down to execution. You can have all sorts of fun plays in the playbook, but if you got people running around with yakety sax in the background, which happens sometimes, we can not have great results. But setting it in 2003, like, you know, Adam Scott, big Spider-Man, this zaniness with like the web of life and destiny, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be absolutely crazy. So kind of keeping the Spider-Man train rolling, Tom Holland gave a bunch of updates about Spider-Man 4, not really saying anything, but still saying something. And obviously it's Spider-Man 4. We've talked about when like the t-shirt dropped for No Way Home, that was just the logo. So of course we're going to talk about these quotes. So he spoke to Variety and he said, I can't talk about that, but I can say that we've been having meetings. We've put the meetings on pause in solidarity with the writers. There have been multiple conversations had, but at this point, it is very, very early stages. And then he also spoke to Entertainment Tonight, and he said, I think as long as we can do justice to Peter Parker, as long as we can keep elevating and making the films better and making them mean more, then I'll be there. I'd be stupid to say that I wouldn't be the luckiest kid alive if I got to do it again. There's stuff going on, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So how are we feeling? How do we feel about the possibility that this movie is even just being talked about?
I'm glad it's official. I mean, I feel like we danced around for so long. Immediately after No Way Home, I remember Holland was giving the quotes of like, oh, well, you see, like maybe we'll do another one. I mean, it seemed like a pretty clear ending at the end of No Way Home. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like you're just getting started. That was your origin story. So I'm glad that we're talking about it like it's actually happening and like it's actually being materialized. And I'm just happy that it's continuing the relationship with Sony and Marvel because ever since summer 2019 when that went down, I take all these things with a grain of salt one at a time, and I'm like, until we get official Marvel Studios and Sony on the logo, I don't know if they're working together. It sounds like everything is harmonious, which is all good news.
I feel like it's got to happen, right? It's but a part of me is like, we've been burned on Spider-Man 4s before. You know, Raimi was gonna make a 4th one, and that never happened. And but I agree, Liam, that like that is not an ending. Like it's a great ending. Don't get me, of course, but like there's so much more to be told. And you know, my little heart still wants Ned and MJ to remember Peter eventually. They have to remember him at some point. It can't just stop it forever. But Yeah, I'm like right now. I think it's going to be a long time before this movie happens. The fact that they're this early in talking about it, and now we're in the strike zone. I do think that it's a while, and that does make me nervous. Just like I said, because the history of Spider-Man 4 is not a happy history. But I'm hopeful, and I think that also Tom Holland just turned 27. He's calling himself a kid. Adorable. Bless him. He's a kid to me.
I agree with the thing of like this movie is probably not coming out for a long while, which, as I've said on the show countless times, that bums me out because I want one more movie before Secret Wars. I don't want the black suit moment for Peter Parker after the way that No Way Home ended. I don't want that to be the next time that we see him. But I have a feeling unless our dreams come true and they magically delay Secret Wars even further, I don't necessarily see that happening, and that is kind of frustrating. But yeah,
is
Aaron,
Secret Wars supposed to be 25 or is
26? Kang Dynasty's May.
Oh, we're getting the Spider-Man before 2025.
Really?
I don't.
You like even with the strike and everything, you think so?
Fam, if they don't make a Spider-Man movie, the rights revert back to Marvel. They're going to, if it's, Tom as like a little puppet, like dancing around, like, and then like Zendaya, and it's like a little musical, they'll do that before they let Marvel just have Spider-Man back. I feel like we're totally going to. Heck, you know what? Some would say maybe he'll be in the third Spider-Verse, and maybe that'll count, and then that'll reset the rights, and maybe they can take their time. Who knows? But I totally think you're getting one before Secret Wars. There's no doubt. Also, I think there's a very big gift that they got given in Spider-Verse that I think they'd be foolish not to take advantage of in Spider-Man 4 if given the opportunity,
Absolutely. So keeping the Spider-Verse train rolling, Jamie has some updates.
Oh boy, if this isn't the most Jamie news ever, Spider-Verse crushed so hard this weekend. Talk about overperforming. It is now the highest rated film on Letterboxd, and I'm not surprised because Aaron and I saw it together again on Sunday, so I've rated it 5 stars twice on that website. And I want, so this information is 2 days old, so I'm sure the numbers have changed a little, but as of 2 days ago, it had a 4.7 out of 5, which for Letterboxd is amazing because there are a lot of harsh people on there. As of 2 days ago, the film was watched by nearly 300,000 members, receiving over 173,000 likes. It is only the 5th film in Letterboxd history to be ranked as number 1 on the site. The others are The Godfather, Parasite, Come and See, which I actually haven't seen. It's on my watch list, and I hear that it's a really intense movie, so I've been putting it off. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once. So that was the big one last year. So, honestly, it's like I sometimes I think that things get overhyped and are a bit much to start off with, but I don't think that's the case with this movie. I saw this movie and I said that's a 5-star movie, and also Letterboxd can be a little what's the word? Pretentious. And so to see like an animated film hit that top 5, that gives me hope for everything in the world. What do you guys think?
I haven't even logged it on Letterboxd yet because I've been so busy. I have like 5 films I need to log on there. So the fact that it's already number 1, it's like, hell yeah, this is amazing. And then like I forgot to include the box office numbers in the rundown, but it made $120.5 million in the opening weekend domestically and $208.6 million around the world. That was the second highest opening outside of the Mario movie. So, which is also just wonderful in and of itself, of people just, dunking on animation. And then we have 2 animated movies absolutely crushing at the box office. But yeah, I'm glad that it's doing so well in the box office and on Letterboxd. It absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thrilled the entire way. My end of year when we do the recap episode has been saved. Thank you, Bill Lord, Chris Miller, and the directors and everybody else. I'm surprised with Jamie too about the Letterboxd thing because I was like, yeah, people like it, but like also, people get off on hating on stuff. So I'm like, that's not going to probably go well. But no, it totally is. It's going just fine. You got people just throwing coal on the fire for 3 too. They asked Daniel Kaluuya, like, who you want to be in 3? And he's like, Snoop Dogg. And then they asked like freaking Oscar Isaac, and he's like, Pedro Pascal. And I was like, $1 gazillion. All the money that ever existed. They're going to have to shut down the printing presses for how much money that movie would make. So it's fun.
Also, I need to shout out, there was a fan over the weekend who shared a photo. They ran into Oscar Isaac on the street and he was FaceTiming Pedro Pascal, as it was happening. I'm like, I would ascend out of my body. Like they won the lottery, basically.
That's a double rainbow right there.
It is, seriously. But yeah, Liam, how do you feel about Spider-Verse?
The box office numbers are tremendous because I have long said for many years now, the best marketing campaign is just to make a good movie, and word of mouth will carry you to dollars. Not all the time, but this one especially. The hype was real. This was a movie that I was stoked to see purely as a fan, not even like as part of like critics or press and any of that stuff. And also the fact too that the first one didn't do anything crazy at the box office. It made money, but it didn't make like live action Spider-Man money. And we know how Sony gets about their box office returns on Spider-Man, because The Amazing Spider-Man 2 made like $700 something million, and they were still like, cancel the threequel. That wasn't enough. So the fact that this one, despite not doing anything amazing the first time around, they still went full throttle, waited 5 years to perfect this one, get that animation as crisp and pristine as possible. And the fact that they're getting the financial return on it is really, really awesome. I'm happy. A lot of people love this movie. It didn't really land as hard for me. I also need to see it a second time. I feel like the first time I watched it, I remember like 3 scenes from it, which is really weird. Like, I don't know if I was overly tired, if it was during a busy work week, but I definitely want to watch it again. And there's a lot to love with Across the Spider-Verse. And I'm just happy that, like I said, a good movie is making money, because that's going to tell studios to just double down and make quality product and invest in stuff that works.
Well, so talking about kind of the long wait between 1 and 2, we got an update just kind of this morning about 3. Aaron, do you want to tee that up?
So we have Haley Steinfeld talking about recording stuff for Beyond the Spider-Verse, which she said she actually hasn't yet. So she said, nope. As you can imagine, this production of Across the Spider-Verse has been an ongoing thing since the moment the first one came out. There's been so much focus on everyone's blood, sweat, and tears, making this the most incredible and best version of itself that it can be, so they haven't done it. And the creators were kind of like dodging that when I asked them about 3 on the carpet. It comes out in less than a year. People are wondering if it's going to get delayed. I would say probably not, because they've already developed, like, there's only so much the technology can expand in less than a year. We're not dealing with the 5-year gap where they're like inventing new ways to like make Miles's hair look freaking awesome on the side of a speeding train. So does everybody think it's going to come out in March of 2024?
I feel like when you hear this and you get nervous, like, oh, she hasn't recorded it. But the recording, I feel like, that's the easy part. It's the animation that's tough. Like, if she has to go into a booth and read a 100-page script out loud. Like, not to discount what voice actors do, because that's not what I mean to say at all. It is a talent to be able to do that, but time-wise, it does not take as much as it does to create the animation. I would be surprised if it gets delayed much. If by most, I would say March to May, because March is a weird time for this movie to come out. March is not like a big month, so that I would say if it does get delayed, it won't be by much.
Yeah, if anything, like you said, like, it's still in the same calendar year at very least. Like, if you move it from March even to like late summer or something, like, they've seen this movie can print money, and like we were saying, if you add certain people to the cast, you're going to be printing so much more money. So we waited 5 years. They did so much for 2. Like, every tweet I've seen this weekend of just how Hobie was animated just has made me extremely happy. Like, the amount of attention to detail there alone is incredible. So I will wait as long as we need to for 3, but it is kind of a little like scary when you read this tweet and you don't actually think about it right away. But yeah, we also have one rumor that we will talk about it because the chat was asking and Aaron teased it earlier, but we also have time for some questions. So if you're in the chat, drop some questions. We might be able to answer 1 or 2 before we log off for the day. So there are rumors. Again, this is all just straight rumors. There's nothing really solid, but they're saying that El Muerto might not end up happening. So I know we're all extremely heartbroken, but how do we feel about this?
I mean, you want to talk about Madam Web having limited source material. El Muerto, I think they might have dove into the catalog and saw that there's only like 3 issues that exist or something.
Yeah.
I'm bummed only because Bad Bunny is such a talent, and he has already crossed over into one of my fandoms, that being professional wrestling. So I'd love to see him in a Marvel movie. Is El Muerto the right choice? I'm sure there's other roles for him if this one doesn't end up happening. But this might be a smart long-term play by old Sony Pictures.
I was more interested in this than Madam Web. Like I think Bad Bunny is a cool choice, and also it's like, yeah, okay, there are 2 comics issues, but there are plenty of movies in existence that don't have source material. Like, get a good writer and make stuff up. That's what writing fiction is. So I hope that these rumors aren't true, but if they are, it's like, okay, one less Sony live action movie that we have to talk about, I guess. But it's not the one I would choose to cut.
Aaron, how do you feel?
Yo, for people who don't watch wrestling, Bad Bunny's whole run up until Backlash and then his performance at Backlash was so good. I told some of the people who work on the wrestling side here at Comic Book, hearing an entire stadium screaming your song at you as you stride into a wrestling ring must feel better than drugs. I'm like, this must be amazing. You must feel like you're made of titanium. It must be crazy. So he's such a star, and he's so good at that. And he was really fun in Bullet Train. Like, we gonna not have the most, like, one of the most popular artists on the face of the planet just carry a movie off of sheer charisma? Come on. Why? But, you know, why does Sony do anything? It's like that episode of South Park with the manatees in the tank. They just choose stuff at random, and that's what happens. It's like, you know, next 2 weeks from now, we're gonna be like, guess what, guys? Like, what was it? Typesetter, or was it the villain? One of the villains that was in the multiversal jail?
Oh,
was
yeah.
it Typeface or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
Typeface thing
Yeah.
with John Leguizamo coming up 2026. And I'll be like, okay, sure, Sony
Yeah.
Pictures. Sounds great. You know?
El Muerto, like we were saying, there's very little canon to go off of. You can read it all in one sitting, but like the idea that he literally was like, a Bad Bunny was given like the Marvel Rolodex, and it's like, pick a character that you like, and he picked this one. I just stupidly just want to see what this would look like, because I feel like having very little canon to go off of, you can have freedom to do something really wild, and just having a superhero wrestler movie would be inherently very cool. So I agree with Jamie. I hope that this isn't true. I hope, again, these are very, very preliminary rumors that were just kind of buzzing around on the internet, so we had to address them. But with any luck, that this might not be true, and we might still have El Muerto sweep. But yeah, and so we have some questions in the chat. Octoburn86 asks if you could insert a Disney Plus type TV series or special feature into each saga of the Infinity Saga, where would they be and where? Ooh,
I have an answer for this.
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna get one show like in that time. I would really like between Civil War and Infinity War, where all the like Cap and everybody on the run. Like, I would like to see what they were doing in that stretch of time. You know, we a little earlier in the WandaVision romance. You know, there is a big chunk of their romance that's missing. I'd like to see that, but also just like, you know, that they were doing some cool stuff in that 2 years, I think. So I think that would be my answer.
I agree with them on the run. I've like always wanted to see that story, so much more so than the Infinity Stones, like him putting them back. I would much rather see them all on the run. So I would either say that, or a completely new character that we haven't seen, of just like, you kind of retrofit them in, of like, they've always been here and this was in between phases 2 and 3 and you just had no idea. But yeah, Aaron, Liam.
I have a bit of a boring answer just because it was technically already done in What If, but Nick Fury's week, like, culminated into live action, and you just kind of take the one shots that already exist and expand upon them. I would love to see a timeline version of assembling the Avengers, because I found out that timeline took place over the course of a week, like a couple years ago. So I'd love to see what it would look like in real time.
That's very cool. Aaron, what about you?
I mean, it's a cheat because I don't know if they're probably gonna do this later, but I would absolutely adore, once we get years into the future, you go back and show us how like Kang screwed up everything for everybody during the Infinity Saga, and why he made certain choices to have, like, why does Black Widow need to die? Like, why does Tony Stark need to not be here? Why do you have Wakanda reveal themselves to everybody? Like, why did you have Steve Rogers not die and be in ice? Why did he need to be there? All these things. It would be super fascinating, right?
That would be very cool. Yeah. I feel like we will get that story at one point or another. Hopefully it's not super long. Like, I could just see that being like an opening part of Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars at this point. Oh, yeah. So Julia has an interesting question. As someone who is not into dark and gritty vibes and hasn't been as into the grounded side of the MCU, what would you say to get me or somebody else in my position excited for Secret Invasion? I'm sure Jamie has a good answer, which is just the cast, but I'd be curious what everyone's answer is.
the cast, but also like, yeah, it's grounded, but there are still like little green men running around. Like we can't be that serious in this situation. I mean, also, honestly, like there's like get into other movies in this genre that could boost up your interest. Like I'm such a Mission Impossible fan, like James Bond, like although those are silly too, depends on which Bond you're watching. There's all over the place. But I would say like it's, if it's not your genre, don't just try to like it in Marvel. Look up what some of the best movies of all time in those genres are and let that get you excited. That's what I would say.
I love that. I just rewatched Mission Impossible 1 like last weekend, and just like how grounded it is versus the insane stunts that we're doing now was just the wild. Like it is like the Fast and Furious thing of like going from stealing VCRs to like magnet planes. Like I love the progression of that stuff.
That movie's also De Palma. Like it is so different from the rest because it is like, it is such its own thing. And that's why I love the franchise, because every movie up until when we get to 5, 6, 7 are directed by different people. And that's really cool. But yeah, it's so good.
Liam, Aaron, do you have anything to add about Secret Invasion?
Yeah, I'll say that I love the idea that it'll retroactively change the way we look at previous MCU films. Like I always point to how much I love Rogue One because director Orson Krennic, a character that was created for that movie, dies in that movie. And then there's an empty seat at the Empire's table in A New Hope. And then your mind goes, oh my God, that seat belonged to Orson Krennic. That's so cool that like changed the way we watch that movie, which has been around for almost 50 years now. So Secret Invasion, I think, has the potential to do just that. If you're not into the grounded, dark and gritty vibes, that's cool. But like they can change little tweaks and make you reanalyze certain lines from phase 1. And I think it's going to kind of reinvigorate that passion that we have for the MCU, because it's going to make us want to revisit the stuff that got us in love with this universe in the first place.
Aaron, what about you?
I think that it's very unique in that it's the only time I think this has ever happened. I don't know if people are going to fact check me in the comments. It's fine. That a Disney Plus series literally leads into one of the movies that comes out that year in the Marvels. Because I've wondered forever since before. I'm like, how do you market this thing where it's like, oh, Nick Fury's in danger, and then he's like in the trailer for the Marvels, like doing like good Sam shtick, the stuff
Capital
that I really, really enjoy. How do we get back up in space and everything is cool? He's still leading sword if everything went to crap on the planet. I would love to know, right?
Yeah. Also, like we have the inevitable possibility of it teasing Armor Wars, which may or may not end up happening someday. But I'm always rooting for that movie. I always hope that movie ends up happening. But yeah, so I think that's going to do it for today's Phase Zero. If I saw questions asking me about Taylor Swift, just go ask me those on Twitter. I will gladly talk about Taylor Swift on Twitter. I've been doing that a lot lately. So follow me on Twitter at Hey It's Jenna Lynn. Go read some comics. There's a lot of really good comics this week. Jamie, do you have anything to plug?
I've got an insane week coming up through comicbook.com. Crazy stuff. I'm going to San Francisco for Pixar's movie Elemental. I've got something really exciting on Monday that I don't want to tease. And then BD and I are going to something pretty cool on Tuesday, Marvel related. But I'm not going to say, but like there's a lot of cool stuff coming. So keep an eye out and follow me on Letterboxd at Jamie Cinematics, the only app where Across the Spider-Verse is considered the greatest rated thing of all time. Cool.
Liam, what do you have to plug?
Yeah, everything is on socials at Liam T. Crowley. Everything's on comicbook.com as well. A lot of Transformers Rise of the Beasts content coming out. Already some stuff out this week, as you saw with the Anthony Ramos chat, but more to come as well. And some spoilery answers coming on Monday, June 8th. Okay. Where are we? No, tomorrow's June 8th. Next Monday.
The 12th?
The 12th.
Monday, June 12th. A very fun spoilery answer from the new Transformers movie that made me jump out of my seat when I saw it for the first time. So that's your little tease. And then beyond that, I have a couple things in the works that we can't confirm just yet, but just stay tuned to socials because plenty to update on. And really quick before I get out of here, rest in peace to the Iron Sheik, one of the biggest wrestling legends of all time. 81 years old, and he passed away peacefully. Thankfully, that was emphasized in the statement. But I just want to give some love to the Iron Sheik because professional wrestling would not have become as mainstream as it did if it wasn't for guys like him in the 1980s. So R.I.P. Sheiky baby.
He was also one of my favorite people on Twitter. So
he was so good on
definitely
Twitter.
R.I.P. Aaron, what do you have to plug?
I just want to say it's at Some Lake Hornet on Twitter. I want to thank everybody for watching my interviews because everybody here worked really, really hard on those. If you want to, you can give them another watch. And I don't think I have that much. I mean, I'm trying to think if we did anything this week, like other than just going and watching Liam stuff. BD just constantly in a state of Schrodinger's plane where he's not here. He went, oh, there we go. He will say hello. He thank you guys for watching. And he's like, good job, Jenna, hold down the fort, while he's like running somewhere with a coffee in his hand. Yes. So yeah, we just appreciate you guys. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching and listening along with us today, even through all the technical difficulties. If you're listening in podcast form, you're probably very confused. But for those of you listening live, I'm really glad that we were able to make that work out. And yeah, we will see you guys next week for probably a lot of news, some sort of discussion. It should just be a lot of fun. So take care.